question too, and I was so surprised at the answer to this. So the question is, ever fake anything and get away with it? Either get away with it or just get caught, called out, and utterly destroyed? Details, please.
The year's 2003.
Oh.
Art Basel is in Miami Beach.
Okay.
I'm there with my then boyfriend. Art Basel back then just like handed out drinks for free. So, because it was much smaller, Art Basel back then. Now it's a huge thing. I got so fucking shit-faced that in my head, I said it'd be a good idea. Plus, it was like there's like artsy-fartsy people there, blah, blah, blah. In my head, I was like, I should be British. So I started affecting a British accent.
And you were wasted.
I was wasted.
Okay, so how'd that go?
From what I remember, not so well. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I cringe like thinking about this. But I had people like being like, and then I came to the store. People were like, oh, where are you from? And I think I remember telling them like a particular place in England that I was from.
And they knew about it, like Checkfordshire or something.
But then people would like, then I noticed that like I got really sloppy. People like just literally stopped mid-sentence and just walked away from me. Or my accent would change. Like at one point it was Cockney, another point it was like something else. Yes. And then I got a lot of quizzical looks and a lot of like, huh. So no one like that I remember, no one flat out like called me out. But people walked away. People were like not having it. Then I ended with me puking, like hanging outside of my boyfriend's car, just like puking all the way from Miami Beach to our apartment. So don't attempt a foreign accent if you're drunk. Or ever really. You just really shouldn't.
Unless you've already got it.
Ever fake anything either get away with it or just get caught, called out, utterly destroyed, detailed. Yeah, let me just lay out my most embarrassing moments as I'm falling asleep because I like to think, no, I'm not going to.
Did you ever get away with anything?
I was a kid. I'm in middle school. Again, I'm like 12, 13, and I've decided the cool hairstyle is to buzz your head. So you just get the clippers and you just go and you're good to go. But I was terrible at that. It was such a simple task, but I have the attention span of a goldfish, so I can never keep my mind on task. So I'd have the television on as I'm dragging this buzzer over my head. Yeah, and you take the top off, you clean out the hair that's clogged it up.
You think it'll be fine.
Yeah, you put the top back on. Only I didn't put the top back on. So I then have this giant bald spot on the top of my head, and I'm just walking around. And of course,
and you weren't paying any attention.
No. So I glance in the mirror, and I see this giant streak of bald in my head. Little did I know, in 2018 that'd be cool. But at the moment, it was terrible. And in middle school, everything is so important. It's the meanest part of your life. Everyone will tear you apart. The slightest infraction from deviancy from normal. So I am freaking out. What am I going to do? I have a bald spot in my head. So my genius idea was I was going to take the hair that I had already buzzed off of my head and hairspray it onto the bald spot so that it looked like I had a full head of hair. And I'm sure it looked like I had a massive head wound that had like dried and caked or something. And I remember in the mornings because the hair started growing back in and sooner or later it was okay. But for several days, I gathered up this mound of hair and just dabbed some on there and sprayed it on.
Oh, that's funny.
And I didn't get away with it because one day it started raining. And so all of the hair that I had hairsprayed onto this bald spot just started trickling down the side of my head, covering me. And it was so awful.
Was that on the way to or from school?
I believe it was midday, like
no, it's even
lunch.
worse. You have the whole rest of the day.
You show up looking, well, I mean, I'm sure I look like a freak with this hair. But then leaving school, a completely different, covered in your own shed hair.
With the hairspray stuck on.
Yes. Oh, it's awful.
Totally got away with it. I'm sitting here now in many ways because I got away with it. This is just when I'm at that sort of transition point of school and things are not working out during the path I intended. And in the meantime, I'm like, well, I like being a 3D artist. And that was a very fledgling type thing coming out. So I was like, I'm going to work on this for a while. And I was very fortunate. My mom worked for a guy who ran a computer company that basically did a lot of government contract work and everything. And he also had aspirations. He was from Trinidad and Tobago. And he had aspirations, political aspirations, like to be involved in the process and everything. So he ran a talk show, a public access talk show. Okay. And he would bring in people and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this sounds great. I want to be involved. And so I got involved, and he put me on like a small payroll, enough to keep me like in rent and fed and everything. And I was like the showrunner for his little talk show. But it wasn't really enough to keep going, and it wasn't making any money on his side. So he's just paying out of the pocket, mostly as I'm helpful and a courtesy and everything like that. So one day they get a call from one of their clients, Allied Signal, and they're looking for someone who can do a lot of documentation work, particularly familiar with the Corel line of projects.
Oh, yes.
Products, you remember those?
Yes.
And that's all on PC and everything.
Corel Draw?
Corel Draw, absolutely. And I am a not a Macintosh guy, not even a Macintosh guy. I'm an Amiga guy. I'm a Commodore Amiga driver.
Okay.
I'm working the video toaster. I'm working a Lightwave.
The
I'm doing all this stuff.
Oh my goodness.
I'm watching Kiki Stockheimer do cartwheels, all that kind of things, and the transitions and the wipes. And he's like, "Hey, I think you could probably get this." Like, okay. It's like, what do you have? What products do they want me to know? And they, it's the Corel suite of products and everything like that. And so, like, I really don't know any of these things. I don't really know PCs because PCs were, by comparison at the time, to me, slow and clunky, and graphics are crappy and everything. Excuse me. So I go and I look in the lobby of this place. And there's a phone interview coming up in like 15 minutes or something like that. So I look in the lobby of where we're working, where they park the clients, and I get an ad. I see like a full page ad for the Corel suite, and primarily Corel Draw and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I get on the phone. We have the interview, and we talk about the general things. We get into the specifics, and he starts talking about wanting to know, and I start asking him questions based on the bullet point things like that I'm reading in the ad, like, do you have this module and such and all that kind of stuff? And they're like, oh, no, not really. We're just kind of a basic. And I just keep asking questions based on whatever I can pick up off the ad that seems like something that would be worthwhile to
dynamite.
know. Exactly. And yeah, they're like, okay, it seems like you're pretty good for the task. So we will start you off on like Monday. And it's like, I think it's like Thursday or something like that. And I say, okay, cool, great. I'll be there Monday. And left there, went to the nearest bookstore, got all the 4 Dummies books for this thing, and just spent the weekend using these products, because I never used Corel Draw. These are also I can't remember their whole suite, but they're like their version of PowerPoint, their version of Word, all these things which I never touched before. So I was just like, okay, I guess this is what it's going to look like. And it came in, and the deal was they were going to try me out for, I think it was like 3 months or something like that, as a contractor. And through step, I became a full-time employee. They offered me a job as a junior engineer on this team, and I stayed with them for like close to like 6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
I faked my whole serving resume until I got a job in New York. I just lied and said I worked at these 3 different places: Olive Garden, friends' restaurants, until someone would hire me. I'd been a server in New Jersey, but no one will hire you in New York if you've not had New York experience.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
It's catch-22, so you have to lie. I found a place on 38th and 9th called Market Cafe that didn't check my references, and they hired me, and I was there for like 3 years. And I guess the other one. And I didn't get caught. No one ever called me out on it. The other one I didn't get caught was I was in college, and I was writing an album and in a show and like 3 other things, and I had a paper that I had to write for a class called Cosmopolitanism in Pop Music.
Okay.
Stupid class.
That was a class.
It was a class.
Cosmopolitanism?
It was an elective. But
Okay.
I had to take whatever class in whatever department, and that was one of them, and it sounded cool. The professor was Jason King is a professor. He was really cool. But the class was stupid, and I had to write a paper. It was like the final paper, and it was on, I think I wrote it on Britney Spears. I don't remember.
Okay.
Whatever. I don't remember what it was, but I didn't write it. That's why I don't remember, because I gave a friend of mine $100. Probably because he needed drug money, and he wrote this paper, and I got a B+ on it, and I was never more happy than did not spend 6 hours writing that paper.
And you got away with it. Okay.
Yeah, sure did.
That's funny.
I've never had anyone do anything like that before. That was the first time, and not the last time because it worked.